I get a lot of questions right here on my YouTube channel and on socials around GitHub Copilot, and specifically Visual Studio and Copilot, and specifically Visual Studio 2022 on Windows and GitHub Copilot. I get a lot of questions like, James, you showed that awesome feature in VS Code. Is that thing available in Visual Studio? What about that other feature? Can I do that in Visual Studio? Can I use the free version in Visual Studio? And the answer is probably yes. And if not, very soon. Obviously, Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio have different release cadences when different features are added. Now, what I want to do today, though, is show you exactly how I use and develop inside of Visual Studio with GitHub Copilot. Not only for just developer productivity of writing code and helping me be more productive with ghost text and suggestions or refactorings and optimizations and documentation, a lot more, but how I leverage chat to actually understand what's happening in different code files that I might be pulling down from GitHub. Also, how I might ask it questions to scaffold entire pages and add new pieces of functionality. But also how I go a little bit deeper of actually analyzing debug exceptions that might be happening inside my application, and how I save precious moments and keystrokes by having it automatically generating Git commits and PR summaries for me automatically. So that's what we're going to do today, is show you everything you need to know, at least how I use GitHub Copilot today inside of Visual Studio. So let's get into it. All right, here's my coffee tracking application I've been building out completely with GitHub Copilot. So here I can add different coffees that I've been drinking. I can tap on one. I can go ahead and modify it. I can come back over here. I can look and track different bags of coffee that I've been either roasting or that I've been purchasing, add it to my collection. I can even see a graph and chart here specifically of the coffee consumed over the last 7 days. So let me show you exactly how I use GitHub Copilot inside of Visual Studio to work on any project. So here, when I open it up, the first thing I want to point out is that you have the little Copilot button here. You can tap on it, open a chat window, go to settings, manage your subscription, a lot more. And what I can see is that I have a bunch of different options in this Copilot chat window that is going to allow me to summarize the code, write unit tests, fix code. It's kind of helping me out here, which is nice. Now, a few things that you need to know about this is that you can change models, for example, here. You can add images with the Vision API, and you can use these different @ commands to call different kind of tools, and also this little pound sign so you can give it context if you are asking questions about specific things. But I pulled down a lot of different projects, and the first thing I like to do is say, what is this application doing? How is it built? And what are the key components? So I'm gonna go ahead and send that off here. Now, this is going to go off and it's going to analyze the entire project of everything that's going on here. And it's saying, okay, well, here's the purpose of the application. It's a coffee tracker application. We can see the key features that it's doing, the key technology that it's using, different NuGet packages that it's using, and then the key components. And what I like about this is that it's allowing me to actually jump into like the model or the coffee service or the view model. It's telling me what it's doing, but I can also tap on it and get directly into it. So for example, if I was just browsing code, I could come in. Now I could go and say, okay, what is this thing doing? But I can also come in, hover over the class and describe with Copilot. And this is going to say, hey, this is using a SQLite database asynchronously. It's initializing and retrieving data objects. I could go and actually understand what this entire service is or what a method is doing. So a good example of that would be I'm working on statistics. And I say, okay, this looks good, but I don't know exactly what it's doing. Let me describe that. So it's going to go through and it's going to show me exactly what it's doing here, which is loading it up, calling the class asynchronously, calculating the ounces consumed, preparing the chart and the date for the last 7 days. And like that pretty much looks correct there. That's nice to know as I'm jumping through the code. What I also like though is that you can highlight the code and work on this too in line. So I could come over and I could describe the different methods here if I wanted to, but I can right click and say ask Copilot. Now I could ask it and describe in more detail too by just hitting the / command and saying explain. Now what's nice is that this is going to highlight the code in this class and send it off. So I do really like that because this is going to show me exactly what's happening in these lines of code in a lot more detail than maybe that little describe does. So it's going to break it all down for me. What I like is it even shows me like, hey, you could actually like document this a little bit more, but here's a detailed breakdown of every single piece of code that's going on there. So if I'm trying to learn this, this is nice. And what I also love is that I could then continue in the chat window. So I could go ahead and put that into the chat window. And then at the very bottom, for example, it could ask me like, is there any ways to improve this code? For example, I don't know. Are there ways to improve this code? That's a great question. So it's going to go through and say, yeah, probably, James, because you wrote this code. There's probably different ways of doing this and actually avoiding multiple enumerations, for example, which would be pretty nice. So here, that's kind of cool. And optimize link queries, right? So you can go through that. You could also go through, for example, and do a little bit more though. So for example, maybe you want to add functionality to something else. So for example, the roast level that I had in the here, I just have normal enums, but I don't have like friendly names. So again, I could highlight this and I could say, ask Copilot, say, can we add friendly names? Boop. And this is going to go off. It's going to identify it and then add those friendly names for me. I can say accept. Now here, of course, I need to go ahead and add the using statement and then boom, we're good to go. Okay, so that's really, really nice inside of that. Now at the same time, I also just like to do this too. So if I go in and right click or just hit Alt/, I could also say /doc, and let's go ahead and add some documentation for this code because that would be a lot nicer. And then we actually have this in line. It's going to add the documentation for me. So I can write all of these automatically, but it's going to go ahead and put those all for me. Just hit accept. And now we get the descriptions, we get the different documentation that I want, and everything is looking really, really good for this code. I absolutely love it. Now that's just sort of like working code, asking questions, modifying some code around it. I often use that sort of right click when I'm working with JSON and have it add different properties and change the camel casing and things like that, which are really cool. But let's say you were debugging the application because the user, you got an error message or you got a user report from your, different crash reporting service. And here, for example, let's say I came in and I got an error report that said, hey, whenever I change this to 0 and hit save, I get an exception. So the first thing is I've been debugging this save method command. And what I want to see here is what's going on with this coffee object. And if I hover over it, I can actually analyze with Copilot. And what's cool about that is this is going to say, using the locals and the call stack, explain what's happening here. It's going to show me, everything here. And also note that it's telling me that given the ounces of coffee that are 0, that the argument exception is going to be thrown. So it'll actually say what steps can I take to validate the ounces ahead of time. So this is kind of cool. So this is going to say, hey, you could, for example, validate this ahead of time and throw up a message to the user if you want, and then go ahead and return. So that's kind of nice. So that's kind of cool. And it could even say, what are some best practices here? But let's say you didn't have this nice little thing here. You just were looking at the exception or adding a breakpoint somewhere. You can actually look at the locals, for example, down here. So any of the things that I don't have a breakpoint on, let's say that, or any method too, I could ask and analyze with Copilot. So I could hit that little button. It's going to send it off over here and say, okay, this is what this method is doing. Right here are the different properties that are going on. If I want to look at the service that this is using, I could also go to my watch window and I've added that coffee here. And sure enough, that little Copilot button's there too. So I could ask it there too. Well, so you did just get the exception. So I'm just going to throw the exception. Oh my goodness, right? What's going to happen here? Well, there's this ask Copilot button. And if this was some exception, you might want the entire call stack. You might want the exception here. This is going to say, describe everything that happened in this exception. And sure enough, it's going to use the call stack, the locals, and this exception and analyze it. It's going to show me exactly what's going on here, which is really cool. It can say, show me code where it's happening. How can I validate the ounces is never 0? I could go ahead and follow up just like I did before. Now, I also want to point out that we've been asking it along the way and that there are different chats that are going on here. So for example, here's the locals, the call stack, the code that's being explained, all this stuff too. So I really, really like that you can jump back and forth between those different items. So let's go ahead and just let this go and out there. And if I really wanted to, maybe I'd come back here. I could come back over here and I could say, let me like preview that, for example. And then, yeah, this looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and accept that here and then go ahead and do this, which would be great. So now I get that little validation message that's going to pop up and I don't get that exception, which is nice. I could come in and I could modify this code, update this code, and do anything that I want at that point too. But let's say that we wanted to add a bigger piece of functionality into this application. So we may have noticed that when I was on the edit coffee page, for example, there's only a way to save the coffee. I can't like delete the coffee. Well, let's go in and let me go ahead and say, create new edits thread. Now, before I was just chatting, but really want to go into this edit mode. I want to say, I want to make a bunch of changes. I want to add a new feature here, or maybe I just want to work on a bug. Let me just go ahead and say, I would like to add a delete button to the edit coffee page here and update the edit coffee view model to have a new command for it, and also update the database in #coffee service. Okay. Now here I can go ahead and ask GPT-4o models, but I've been using a lot of different models. I really like the Claude models for the code it generates. So let's go ahead and send that off. Now, what I want to see here is that it's creating this plan, and it's I've actually told it a little bit like, hey, I'm working these files. This is what I want to do. If I didn't specify the files, it would probably figure it out actually about what it needs to do. But here it's saying, hey, you need a new delete command, you need a new delete coffee command, and you need a new delete button here using the danger destructive style, right? And it's going to say, I'm going to add a confirmation dialog. I'm going to use proper error handling and do a lot more. It's going to come back with this iteration. So it's going to say, okay, here's what this is going to look like. If you tap on it, for example, this is going to show you the code changes that it wants to make. So here we can see that there's the delete command, and it has a question down here for it, and I can actually scroll through it. If I look at that XAML page, there's the delete button, and here's the coffee service. Here, let's see where the delete is down there. So here we can delete it as well. I'm gonna say that looks great. Let me accept all. It's gonna add those different changes for me automatically. So just like that, I've used GitHub Copilot Edits to go in and modify those pages. Now, I specified those before, but let's say I did want to add a big refactoring into this code. So maybe on this bag of coffee page, for example, we're seeing that there is not only this scroll view that has all the data entry here, but it also has this collection view as well. So let me start a new thing here. And I'm going to say, I would like it so the user enters the bag of coffee on a new page that they navigate to from this page with a button that says add new bag. And we need to make sure we update the program to use dependency injection. So here again, we can choose our model. I've been using Claude on this one. So let me go ahead and just send this off. Now in this case, I didn't actually give it the context of the file. Now I have the bag of coffee open, so it's going to use kind of the different files that I have open inside of here, but it's going to go off and kind of create this plan for me. Now, before I was specifying, because I was like really working on a feature, working on a bug, I knew where the code lived. But in this instance, it's going to have to add a bunch of different things. Right? It's actually going to have to add new files into this application. And then it's going to modify these files too. So here it's going to create this implementation plan for me. So here it's going to say, I'm going to create an add coffee bag, a new view model. We're going to move the ad here. We're going to register a new page. We're going to add and implement the navigation back after this page is going on here, right? So it's actually created a pretty verbose plan that I wants to work on. So it's going to give me the first iteration. And what I want to point out is that the iterations can be iterated on. So you can actually go back and forth and say, oh, no, I really want it to be this. I really want it to be that. So let's give it a few seconds to come up with that plan. Okay, so our plan is back, and here's our iteration. So here we have brand new files. So here's the brand new file that we have here that's going to move things. We have the Maui program that if we look at the changes that are coming in into here, we're going to see that we have the view model and the bag here, and we have updates to the shell routing as well. So this is really, really cool. And I could add one of these at a time. I could go back and forth on it. I'm going to go ahead and hit accept all. And this is a great way of going in and just seeing exactly what's going on inside this application. It's making all these changes and edits now to the code. which I think is great. Now at this point, we can just kind of hope and see if it runs, right? It hasn't done any iteration on it as far as like seeing if it did it. And it said, oh, you know what? It's actually missing a namespace over here. So it was almost 100%, which is good. So let's go ahead and just clean this up a little bit, right? So let me go ahead and go in, say using the view models, and boom, we're good to go. It looks like same thing. We have the add coffee page here. So let's go ahead and add the namespace there. And let's go ahead and compile it up one more time. Okay, so I can go ahead and load it up now. I can go ahead and tap on this. I have the delete button here. I'm going to say no. I can go back over here. I can now go into the coffee bags. I have the add new coffee page, and then boom, there is our add new coffee bag coming in here, which is great. Now, at this point, I've been using GitHub Copilot Chat in the edits mode and asking things in line and doing my coding there. But I also like to click on my keyboard on occasion and go ahead and modify some code. So let's say I was going into the statistics view model and I wanted to add a different grouping here. Now I could add GitHub Copilot Chat, but sometimes I'm just in here and I'm just like, okay, let me just do some coding. So I'm going to add a new observable property, and I'm going to say private observable collection, coffee day data, and I'm going to say chart 2, for example. And then what I would like to do is come down here and I get this ghost text. So if I come in, I can say, okay, declare data 2. Here it's going to say, okay, like this would just be like the grouped coffees. I'm going to say, no, let me go ahead and group the coffees by name for chart data 2. And then I'm going to go in and say, okay, well, now we get the entire ghost text of grouping it by the name and choosing it by the ounces, which is great. And then it will go ahead and start to give me some back in here for the ghost text of filling this in automatically for me. So that's really nice. Like I'm actually just doing normal coding and I'm just getting the ghost text or recommendations automatically to group things differently. So that is pretty fantastic. Okay, now at this point, I'm ready to make my changes. So I'm over here in my git commit window. And the first thing I'm going to do is just hit this, generate commit message for me. My keystrokes, they're valuable. I only have so many of them left. And I'm going to go ahead and say generate message for me. It's going to look at all the different things. And it's going to say, yeah, we added this add coffee component. We updated this. We did a bunch of things for me. That looks pretty good. Now, I like that, but it's kind of plain and generic, and I might want to give it more context. So I'm going to click on Copilot, go into settings, and hit options. Now here you can enable a bunch of different things in here. So instructions, Copilot completions, obviously. You can, enable rename suggestions and all these other things that are here. There's a lot of other features that I'm just use on a normal basis that are part of it. So one thing I really like is that you can enable Git preview features, for example, such as source code integration. So the first thing is I could say, make the first line a paragraph outlining the changes, and then make a bullet list with emoji of the key updates. And this is nice because I can then also say, and sign off -jm. And hit OK, because I may write my git commit messages in a specific way. So now when I go and commit this, it's going to use that customize message with GitHub Copilot based on all the changes that I have here. So now we can see that we added some solution files, we registered different pages and clean up in here. And this is really cool, giving me that context here. And then it signs off with James, which is cool. So I'm going to accept there and I can go ahead and commit that. Now, I also want to point out one other thing here, which is that you can also click this little review changes with Copilot. And it's going to review all of your active code changes inside of Visual Studio and give you feedback as well. But I know that this is perfect code because I just tested it. So let me go ahead and commit and sync all of this here. And this is going to sync it up, and I'm going to push this branch out. Now, when I push this, Visual Studio is going to say, hey, do you want to create a pull request? So yeah, let me go ahead and create that in Visual Studio here. And what I want to point out here is that entirety of the changes are here too. So for example, it is brought over that auto-generated one here. So I can, of course, generate a new one. So if I wanted to go in and say this was actually multiple ones, let me just go ahead and, so I've gone ahead and deleted it. And the reason I want to do that is because this is just showing the commit. I really wanted to do is generate a pull request specific one here. So this is going to generate a new message. And what I like about this is that it actually gives me a PR classification, a PR summary that's coming in, and then it gives me more information about it. So I could say this is adding new delete and add coffee bag page to it. And then I can go ahead and hit accept here and then create that, or create it as a draft too, and then send that off. So I get those nice features there, and I can open that on GitHub. Now I do want to point out one more additional feature here of GitHub Copilot Chat. So I'm just going to pin this one more time. And I'm just going to create a new chat window. And the one thing I want to talk about finally is sort of the extensions ecosystem. So for example, imagine I was on this bag of coffee and I was adding documentation after I shipped these features. I'm like, oh, I need to go ahead and add some documentation here. I could go in and of course add docs in line, but I want to also point out that I can @ and I can @ and ask GitHub here, Visual Studio, the workspace, or other extensions. So for example, here is the Mermaid extension. And I can say, hey, @Mermaid chart. I've just installed that from github.com. I can say, create a diagram of, and I'm going to say this bag of coffee here. This is going to go off, and now go ahead and create that Mermaid sort of diagram for me. And this is the class diagram, which looks 100% correct, but I could say, can you make this about a database? And it's going to now go off and say, oh, well, this is a database entry, right? So let me go ahead and create a different Mermaid chart for that. So here is the ER diagram, that entity relation diagram for me. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. And what's cool is I could go back in now, go back into this README, and I have the Markdown Editor V2 extension installed here that's showing this. So I could go down, I could say data types, and then I'm going to say Mermaid, paste that in. And then sure enough, boom, there we go. Here is our different bag of coffee that's coming in. And we can see that PK on the ID, everything that I like on that too. So that's from start to finish coming in. I can then go back in, add a little commit message, generate that up for me, add and commit that back in, and now I'm good to go, right? So that's really nice to see all those different features come in. It's way faster than I could actually go ahead and generate some of these new features by typing every different piece of code. All right, well, there you have it. That is just some of the features that I use inside of Visual Studio 2022 with GitHub Copilot. There's so many more. There's a lot of things deeply integrated into the IDE, such as profiling, and you can have custom markdown files, so you can have it scaffold pages specifically with custom instructions. And there's new features being added into every single preview and new models being added all the time. I do want to point out that over on the Visual Studio YouTube, the team is doing an amazing job of releasing deep dive videos that coincide with the blog posts that they're putting out about new features that are being added all the time into the IDE. So go down, subscribe to the Visual Studio channel, and go ahead and dive through the blog posts of some of the features that I've been using and the ones that I know that you're absolutely going to love. I love GitHub Copilot. I've been using it every single day for coding, adding new features, helping me debug my applications, and so much more. Let me know what your favorite features are. If I miss one, let me know and put it down in the comments below. If you like this video, of course, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and share it with your friends that might be using Visual Studio to show them all the awesome features that the team has been putting in to the IDE. I love what the team over in Visual Studio is doing, and I just love how it makes me more productive every single day with all these new models and new AI integrations. All right, that's going to do it for this video. So until next time, I'm James. Have a good one.